Tom Healy signed up. Tom, would you like to come forward? Tom?
I'm sorry, public comment?
Yeah, yep, that's the beginning of the meeting, yep. So if you could just state your name and,
I'm sorry, I was hoping to make a more informed reaction after I heard the committee, take action on a couple of the items that are most significant, I think, to me. My name is Tom Heelan. 3 years ago, I attended a city-county joint meeting discussing housing and homelessness policy. And I'm sure that everyone here, whether you're on the dais or you're sitting behind, have asked yourself the question, what are we missing? I ask myself that question, if not daily, certainly weekly. And one of the things that we're missing, frankly, I don't know any of these folks, but we're missing public participation. And we're missing a dialogue of communication with people that have a master's degree in the street of how things could be made better regarding housing, regarding health. One of the items on your agenda here is pending cannabis licenses. I'd like interactive dialogue. A few years ago, I was looking for a storage unit, and I stopped by Commissioner Thean's place of business. And somehow he just heard me ask a couple of questions, and he came out and invited me into his office. I told him that I moved to Rochester because I've been a Mayo patient now for something like, 18, 19, 20 years. Mayo has probably saved my life at least 5 times, maybe in the last 4 years. You've probably heard about chemical sensitivities and things like that. Well, I have a very unusual immune system. And currently, I think I'm about month 25 of being treated by Mayo with a protein immune modulator that costs over $10,000 a month. And that's the reason why I can talk today, much less walk today. And I could probably, if somebody was chasing me, run around the building. There's some things that are happening in this community that are extraordinary and beneficial, not just beneficial to individuals like myself, but beneficial to the entire community. There are other things like homeless policy that is causing mass death in the streets. And there is a very close link, and I have no idea what the comment time is. I'm not going to soak up your precious time, but I think that I would like to see perhaps one meeting at some time in the future where you in detail discuss the link between the housing crisis, housing shortage, and material outcomes of the worst kind in health. I can tell you this, in the 1960s and the 1970s, when I was a student at the University of Minnesota in MINSCU institution that I graduated from, it was a settled issue among sociologists and political scientists. When you take poor people and you concentrate them in ever smaller environments, what's the outcome? Anybody want to throw out a guess?
not good.
Pardon me?
Not good, negative outcome.
Yes. And you're considering a license for cannabis. What is the highest volume drug sold in Olmsted County? Anybody want to offer?
I'd say alcohol.
Yeah, you're right, Mr. Thien, but a close second, and I would suggest that based on lethality, it is more significant, is salted cannabis. And What could you do to stop the mass marketing of salted cannabis? Well, first of all, what is salted cannabis? Salted cannabis is the old-fashioned stuff that I smelled in the 1960s. And the first time I smelled salted cannabis, I was in a homeless line at the warming center. And I was standing there among more than 50 people. And I said, my God, what is that smell? And the guy that's, I think then he was like 27, he started laughing. And he said, well, old timer, this ain't your 60s cannabis. No, it isn't. Because it's salted with methamphetamine and fentanyl. And that is why, whether it's OMC or St. Mary's, I'm guessing that there are admissions for opiate circumstances that are probably, I don't know, is it more than $50 million per year? More than $100 million per year? I don't know what the economic cost is. But something that I would suggest to this community, and it might be on the header when you have a housing committee. Year to date, how many deaths in Olmsted County as a result of opiate overdose? And there also should be a cumulative number in the last 10 years. Because, and I'm not saying or suggesting that you are responsible for this. We're all responsible for it. It is a shocking community failure. And it does have a very direct connection, both with the shortage of housing and the concentration of poverty in status quo existing homelessness and social service programs. And if you walk down the subway at Mayo Clinic,
We're going to have to wrap it up pretty quick here.
if you walk down the subway in Mayo Clinic and you walk the full length, I've taken prednisone for more than 50 years for my condition. One of the things it does is it really mucks up your memory. But when you read the statements by the Mayo brothers, they talk about innovation. And it's not passive innovation. It's not innovation that just happens. They were looking for ways to innovate. And as organizations get bigger and as organizations get older, and sociologists and organizational behaviorists had figured this out more than 20 years, you get reversion to mean.
Tom, we're going to have to end.
Thank you very much. I hope that you will look for ways to be innovative. And just one last suggestion. I came here yesterday to get a physical copy of the agendas. That wasn't possible. I suggest putting like 10 copies of the agenda out on the hallway where people can just pick up. And another suggestion, for example, for the Emergency Services Program grant, put a hypertext link in your agenda so people can go online and they can read the details of that grant. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else who'd like to give public comment? All right, hearing none, I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with the consent agenda. Approve the Olmsted County Board minutes from May 20th. Accept the projects for assistance in transition from homelessness PATH grant from the Minnesota Department of Human Services. Approve 2026 state bonding requests. Approve bridge priority list for county and township bridges. Approve acceptance of the capital assistance grant for the state of Minnesota to construct a materials recovery facility. Approve declaration that the materials recovery facility will be a general obligation bond finance property. Approve a temporary on-sale liquor license for Viola Gopher Count. Approve participation in the annual state measures program. Accept the emergency services program grant from the Homelessness Housing and Support Services Administration. Approve cannabis business registration lottery fee.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion.
I would like to just, because I don't think we have a revised item C in front of us.
It's all right, we can pull that and then you can
Just
make your
pull that
amendment.
and approve of the rest, and we can come
I don't
back.
have it in front of us. I got
Fine.
it online. Okay, all right, so I got a motion, a second to approve everything except letter, what was it?
C.
C. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. All right, talk about C.
Mr. Chair and members, as you know, earlier this morning, we talked about including a renewal, if you will, of the resolution of February 5th of this past year relative to support of the Olmsted County History Center bonding proposal. And I know there was language being drafted. We don't have it, but I would just move we approve our item C with the inclusion of, presumed inclusion of the language relative to the 2523 language relative to the History Center.
Okay, so you're adding that on to this, okay. All right,
I can
second,
second,
we better talk to Jennifer about this. I don't think that's the way we agreed to do this, so.
Okay.
Good morning, Board. Jennifer Burkholm, Legislative Analyst with Olmsted County. I guess I just would like clarification. Are you proposing adding it as an item or just passing a separate resolution at the same time?
We had
I
agreed,
thought we were going to draft a document which included it in this document. If that's a reason for uncomfortableness, we could pass item C and we could pass item C with the motion to include this as a separate and a side reaffirmation of this 2.5 thing. Why don't I read it that way? That way it's not in the 3 here, it's separate. So moving that this be separately and aside approved as the 2025 reaffirmation of the support from the
all right, so we got a motion to approve the state bonding request as amended earlier today and the addition of a separate request to support the History Center's bonding request as we had last, in February. Is that clear?
so,
Right, they're separate resolutions.
right, I would ask you to bifurcate that, please, so we do one at a time.
Bifurcate.
Yeah, well, I'll explain it to you later, Mr. Tyne. One at a time.
All right, so,
That's what we're doing. Well,
so I thought Dave's motion was two
no,
separate
we're-
things, but,
okay. He can move to bifurcate if he wants.
No, we'll just take them one at a time. So actually, the way I understand it is that you're saying go back to letter C and approve letter C as we amended it, and then introduce another one that basically says that we will continue our support for the History Center as we have done in the past.
Yep.
that's fine. I mean, I don't know that the second one was necessary because we agreed at admin that it wasn't necessary, but we'll go through the motion. All right, so let's consider the first one first, approve the state bonding requests as amended earlier today.
Right, second, I'll second that.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, carries. All right. Dave, you want to make your second motion?
I would, Mr. Chair and members, I would move approval of the reaffirmation of the 2025 support for the bonding proposal of the Olmsted County History Center, Stopple Farm.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, carries. Thank you. Okay. Now we'll move on to informational items. City of Pine Island update from Administrator Elizabeth Howard. Welcome.
Welcome, Commissioners. Thank you for having me today. I think it's been about 8-9 months since I was here previously, so I'm excited to see some new faces and also provide some new informational items on Pine Island. So first, before you, I just have some facts about Pine Island. As you know, Pine Island is fastly growing. So we are the fastest growing community in Goodhue County and one of the fastest in Olmsted. And so one area I'd like to point out is our median age. So our median age is 33.9. The Olmsted County Median age is 37.9, with Goodhue County being 42.1, so we're quite a bit younger. In fact, our 0 to 19 age group actually exceeds our 65 plus age group. And so that just shows how many families are moving to Pine Island, that we are a very family-oriented community. Housing, I think every single person in Southeast Minnesota is talking about housing. And so we do have quite a few housing developments going up. We have 2 single-family housing developments, one in Goodhue County, one in Olmsted County. We have a new townhome subdivision going in. That's on the Goodhue County side, but we're really lacking in apartments. And so that's something that we're starting conversations on how can we facilitate these apartment buildings and have a wide variety of housing available, not just single-family homes. As we all know, those are rising quickly, and the new affordable single-family home isn't very affordable. And so we're looking at how can we have affordable apartments, workforce housing apartments, and then market rate housing. So we're looking at those 3 different levels on how can we incorporate those into our city. The school district. So the school district is, I would say, probably one of the biggest drivers on why Pine Island is growing so quickly. We have a fantastic school district. I believe it's about 33% is open enrolled in the Pine Island School District. Wow. And so I know that is just stretching our facilities. They're really growing, and so they're trying to figure out how can we accommodate our Pine Island residents while also accommodating that open enrollment. I don't want to speak on behalf of the school district. The school and the city, we have a fantastic relationship. We work every year to make sure that we're growing together, that we're not overtaxing our residents. And so we are trying to build kind of our future plans together. And I think that's one of the reasons Pine Island is succeeding the way it is because we are looking at the full picture all in one. So Parks and Recreation, we have a multitude of parks and different kinds of recreation. I don't think people realizes the amenities that Pine Island has. So we have 2 forks of the river coming right through town. We have multiple canoe launches that people can launch in. We're looking at adding some kayak rentals in the community. We have a lot of different parks and trails. Obviously the Douglas Trail starts out in Pine Island, so we get a lot of bikers who like to come down to Rochester and come back up to Pine Island. So we have horse trails that can be used as hiking trails. We're looking at adding some mountain biking. We have a kind of a bluff area that Pine Island, the city owns land to, and so now we're looking at adding some mountain biking trails. So we're really trying to expand what we offer in regards to recreation, and the city council, that's really a main priority for them is investing in our parks and recreation. And then commercial and industrial business growth. And so last year, I think I had told you that the city purchased 22 acres on the north side of town. And so the city is exceeding its infrastructure. So we're looking at maybe possibly some new city buildings there. In addition, we're looking at some highway commercial business. And then we're also looking at a place for apartment buildings, like I had said before, on how we can incorporate some affordable and workplace housing with the market rate housing. We have the Pine Island Business Park that's on the southeast side of town, but on the east side of 52. We have multiple lots available there that we've been working with, like Ready and area communities on what we can offer and how we can use those resources. And then you may have heard the city is talking with a developer about a 400-acre light industrial, possibly technology campus on the northeast side of town. And so the city's been working through the environmental study aspect of that, the AUAR, that will take us into early fall. That property currently is in the Pine Island Township. However, we do have an orderly annexation agreement with them that if everything goes as planned, then the city would be annexing that property. And so again, that's on the northeast side of the city. And then the sanitary sewer district, everyone's favorite subject. So Pine Island has aging wastewater infrastructure along with communities of Wanamingo, Zumbrota, and Goodhue. And so the 4 communities, along with Prairie Island Indian Community, are coming together to try to solve that problem collectively. And so we've been working the last 4 years to build a sanitary sewer district between the communities. And so the update that I have from the last time I was before you is the joint powers between the communities has purchased the land. It's just outside of Zumbrota on where that facility will be. And so now we're working on funding for the rest of the project. So the communities did receive $10 million from the state 2 years ago in the last time they had a bonding bill. And so that is taking care of all the engineering and design, and then the land acquisition. We are working on, if a bonding bill ever gets passed, on possibly getting some more funding. We're also working on some federal funding. And so we're hoping that comes through and we can see if everything goes as planned and we get the funding, we would see construction in about 2 years or so that would start. So we have some time still to solidify those funding sources. So problems with existing plants, they're very outdated. Currently, we have 4 discharge points where we would only have 1 discharge point if we were to combine facilities. 2 of the 4 treatment plants are in flood zones, Pine Island's included, so it'd be nice to get that out of the floodplain. And then there's just long-term benefits. When comparing, we did the feasibility study, and when comparing costs to build 1 large facility versus 4 smaller facilities, the cost was actually the same, where we see the cost is operational. And so it would save about $500,000 per year to have 1 facility. And so that really adds up when we're talking about a plant that could last 40 years. So we're looking at about a cost saving of $20 million over that time period. And then obviously the economy of scale and staff efficiencies, it's really hard to find wastewater treatment workers for Class A plants. And then Prairie Island Indian Community, I don't want to take any ray away from Nikki, but the city has been working with Prairie Island Indian Community. We have a fantastic relationship. We've been talking about ways of collaboration, how we can bring our 2 communities together, not just how we can benefit our residents, but how we can bring our cultures together and things like that. And then challenges and potential partnerships with Olmsted County. One area that we are really looking forward to, and there's been a lot of discussion in Southeast Minnesota, is connectivity and transportation. Is how can we help our residents get to Rochester and vice versa. One huge plan that our city council supports is the age-friendly initiative. And I know Olmsted County has a great age-friendly initiative, and so Pine Island's been collaborating on how can we help our residents as they're aging, how can we help them age in place. Obviously, housing is another. The city is always open to collaborating in any way possible. We want to make sure that we have a very diverse housing situation in Pine Island, and so I think that's something that we need to start talking about sooner than later. Childcare, again, another issue that no one's surprised about. The city is actually talking, we're looking at doing some different unique aspects for childcare. And so we've had a lot more childcare providers leave the field than have come in the last 3 or 4 years. And so we're really seeing that crisis. And so the city has taken initiative on thinking outside the box. And we have a few ideas that are in the works right now. So hopefully next time I have more information on that, on what we can do to help that situation. And then the school access. So the elementary school is located on County Road 5. I know we've had some access issues in the past, and as they continue to grow and as that housing development continues to grow, I'm hoping we can keep communications open to help their access point. And then they have also purchased another parcel, I think of 80 acres along County Road 5 for a possible future school location. I just want to make sure that we're talking about access between those facilities. So I tried to keep it short today. I know I could go on forever on everything we have going on and all the exciting changes and developments we have, but if there's any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, I have a question. So it sounds to me like Pine Island's being very progressive, so it's very good. It's going to grow. But you talked about ideas of lowering the cost of housing. Anything that you can share with us about your great ideas about lowering the cost of housing, and how do you plan to do that?
You know, I don't have an answer to anything. I don't think anybody has. It's a matter of bringing everyone together in the same room. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's really, I think Pine Island has realized that we need to invest more, and that the reality of it is to bring costs down, you have to bring other areas of costs down. And so if that, you know, for a small city of Pine Island, it means a lot when we're looking at like whack and sack fees and connectivity fees. And so, but if we're looking at foregoing fees like that, just to encourage development, our city council and our EDA has looked at, that's why they've been purchasing land, on how can we work with developers on taking the cost of land off. Again, when you're looking at a $450,000 house, an $80,000 lot isn't a lot, but it does help. And so I think we've just realized that the investment has to be real, that a lot of different programs have been tried and they aren't necessarily working because of that. There needs to be a larger investment. And so that's what we're looking at. We have a few local developers that have been loyal to Pine Island, and you know, they've been helping us grow. And so we've been talking with them about real solutions on what do you need for us to succeed.
Right. Well, as soon as you find the magic pill, let us know.
I will.
And
I
we'll
definitely will.
duplicate
I'm
it.
hoping I can report back.
Thank you.
So I have a question, Mr. Chairman. So in the area of childcare, what can a small community like Pine Island do to help address the childcare crisis that we're facing?
Yep. So one of the ideas that's very new in the last couple months that the city's looking at doing, but a few of our housing subdivisions has smaller plats of land or smaller parcels of land that we're looking for, like patio homes, things like that. But they're smaller land pieces, and so the city's actually looking at possibly building childcare pods in these different subdivisions. And so they're essentially like 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses, but they could be used as a childcare center. So we could have a childcare provider come and rent them, run a daycare out of them. However, if the business were not to succeed, it could still be used for housing in that rare case. We're still working through the details. We're working through that investment. But again, I think we've realized we really need to put dollars into that area if we really want it to succeed. So does that help answer your question?
No, yeah, to some degree. I mean, you know, the fact that you're doing anything is fantastic. That you're really looking at this. It's a vexing problem.
It is, and that's where, you know, we realize we just need to come out of the side of the box. We've looked at centers, and I think centers can struggle in a small town because realistically, in a place like Pine Island, we have great before and after school childcare through the school. And so it's really that 0 to 3-year-old that I think a lot of parents are looking for. And so a center, I think, looking at, not to get too deep in financials, I clearly have looked into this greatly, but a lot of those dollars that they make come from the larger class sizes when you get to the 4 or 5, 6-year-olds. And so we're really looking at, okay, that's probably not going to be feasible in our community. So how do we address this 0 to 3, 0 to 4-year-old crisis, essentially?
So who's funding the before and after school programs?
I believe parents are paying for those. So it's private through the school, so childcare.
Interesting. Okay.
Dave?
Thank you so much for coming down to visit with us. This is really important that we
Yeah.
keep up to date with our cities, and I just find it really helpful. I've always found it interesting. We have at least 2 cities in our county that are in 2 counties, and how it all grew up that way, only history knows. But my question relates to solid waste, and the solid waste from the south half of your city coming to Rochester, and the question really is, on the north side of your city, so to speak, does that go to Red Wing?
It does. And so this is something that we've heard from a lot of garbage haulers back in the city, because even it's a city concern. just in the fact that we have garbage haulers coming multiple different days because they need to do the south side of our city one day, the north side of the city another day. And so there's a lot of wear and tear on our streets because of that, but they do. So the north side of the city in Goodhue County has to go up to Red Wing, and then the south side goes to Rochester.
Thank you, that's all, just curiosity.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Nice report.
Have a great day.
All right, next up, County State Aid Highway 44 and Trunk Highway 14 interchange update.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I'm Ben Johnson, Director of Public Works, County Engineer. I've got with me Nathan Arnold, our Associate Director of Public Works and Assistant County Engineer. The informational item before you this morning that Nate will be presenting on is an update of our CASA 44 and Trunk Highway 14 interchange project. As you all know, this project has been a long time coming for Olmsted County and a high priority. It started over 2 decades ago with a 2003 ROCOG corridor management study and eventual adoption of an official map in 2010. Since that time, we've had great advocacy to push towards funding, first for project development and then eventually securing construction dollars. We sincerely appreciate your hard work and support in securing those funds, as well as the hard work and support of our state and federal legislators to fully fund this important project for the citizens of Olmsted County. Go ahead.
Awesome. Mr. Chair and members of the board, good morning. I think we covered a little bit of it, but I'm going to be giving a presentation on the County 44 and Trunk Highway 14 interchange project. Let me see if I can figure this out. All right, here we go. The project location, you guys are probably pretty familiar with it. It's west of Rochester on Trunk Highway 14, and it's 60th Avenue running north and south, so that's County 44. Some information just about this Trunk Highway 14 in the area is a 4-lane roadway. There's about 25,000 cars on it, so there's a lot of cars there. On County 44, we're seeing about 1,500 cars a day to the north and about 700 cars a day coming from the south. So still a significant amount of traffic we're seeing there. One thing of note is MnDOT did come and kind of close that median in 2022 just from some of the safety concerns that we had. But we also know that we're working on this interchange project to restore that mobility and open it back up and allow free movement there again. Here we're showing the infrastructure improvements that we've already completed and where we're looking to go with future projects in this kind of northwest or western part of Rochester and Olmsted County. Though these projects are addressing aging pavement, we're also planning for the future and making sure that the reconstruction projects address safety, drainage, and future growth on our way. Probably the first project that we did in this area, we did a project earlier that was within town, and we turned back Valley High Drive east of West Circle Drive. But then the first project I'm showing here in 2021, we reconstructed County 44 or County 4 out to County 5 north of Byron, and we realigned County 105 up to Oxbow, pulled that out of the flood area. And along with 4, we really added shoulders, fixed drainage issues, made it a much better roadway. In 2023, we realigned 2 kind of poor angled intersections and put in 1 roundabout to tie 44 and 4 together. And then in 2026, we're looking at doing this interchange project, which will tie that into Trunk Highway 14, allow access out of kind of that growth area that we're seeing and allow people onto Trunk Highway 14 a lot better than what's out there today. Then, of course, out currently in the CIP, and it's probably out at about 2030, we are looking at the yellow area there to the north. 44 goes north up to, I believe it's 70th Street, and then cuts over east and will tie into 52, which will allow kind of finish the continuity in that area and make sure we're addressing everything as we go. Kind of the next question is, where are we at now with this project? We've shared a little bit before, but we've completed our environmental documentation, which we've been working on since kind of when we've done some preliminary design. And we started all that in 2022. We got our environmental document signed at the end of 2024. So 3-4 months ago now. We've completed our preliminary design. I'll share that layout here in a little bit. And we're working through final design. So we're halfway, probably a little closer to having 90% plans done. So we're getting well along the way. Right-of-way acquisition, we start that at the end of preliminary design. I'll provide an update in one of my slides in a little bit on that. And then for construction, we're looking at doing like an initial clearing project this fall for taking care of some of the environmental things like tree clearing. We need to do some mowing for some of the birds, bats, and bees in the area. And then we're looking at starting the main project next spring. It'll go all next summer, a little bit into the fall as far as they can go. And then in 2027, we'll probably end up working all summer long on it just from how much work is out there. We have had 3 different open houses, and we'll plan on doing some more public outreach as staging and construction details are locked in. We have, kind of in that process, we have had multiple constructability meetings with contractors and are working through the staging to make sure we're doing the best thing and for impacting traffic and getting it constructed as wisely as possible and as little of impacts as possible. So they've been pretty excited about the project and are super interested when it's happening. So that's good to hear too. I've got 2 different kind of layouts to show you guys. This first one, I don't think it's been shared before, but this is at the top of this slide is 4 and 44 where the roundabout was built there. And that's 19th Avenue. We're looking at building another roundabout there. This was a little gap segment. It was in the CIP separately as a project, but we're pulling that. Instead of it being its own separate project, we're moving it into the larger project just to reduce impacts, hopefully see some savings, have a bigger contractor doing the work, and making sure we're addressing this segment so it doesn't happen once we're all done with the interchange. That will be a 4-lane section in there to accommodate for the future. Right now there is some development kind of bubbling around there, but nothing solid yet.
Right now, it's a Township Road, 19th Street, right?
19th Street it's County Road to the landfill, then it's a Township Road west of the landfill. East of 44, it is a Township Road, but I think the city is now maintaining it.
Okay.
There's a lot of different moving parts
Okay.
in this area. Then this layout's a different view than you've probably seen, but it's really similar to what's been seen in the past, kind of working from the north end to the south end. We have a first roundabout at the north end. We'll be tying the intersections of 15th Street on the east side to 14th Street on the west side. Right now, they're kind of offset, but this will provide some continuity there. And then as you go east down 15th Street, we will be putting in bypass an overpass over Trunk Highway 14 that'll tie into 7th Street in the city of Rochester. As we move south of 15th Street, the next roundabout that we come to, that will be an on and off ramps for the actual interchange. There's some unique things going on there just we have some high power transmission lines that go through there that we're gonna relocate with our project. The railroad's in there. So we need to make sure we're coming up high enough to avoid some of those. Like I think we're about 30 feet in the air. And then as we come to the south side, we have a on and off ramp roundabout that ties into 14. Then kind of as we move a little bit further to the south, we have an intersection that will tie into the St. Mary's neighborhood, and then one last roundabout at County Road 34 or Country Club Drive and 44, and that's kind of where we tie back into the existing. Kind of an update on our right-of-way acquisition. We have about 30 properties, kind of you can see in the blue or cyan or whatever color you want to call it, is where we're ending up impacting. A lot of it in the middle is new right-of-way, just because we're designing a lot of it about 300 feet west of the existing interchange, just to not impact a lot of the houses and businesses that are pretty dense along the 60th Avenue corridor. We're impacting about 30 properties. There's 22 property owners that own those 30 properties. We've made all the offers at this point. We've settled with 10 of them. So we're halfway there. We started about a month and a half ago. So we still have a little bit, and we're gonna keep working on that. And our title and possession date is September 20th of this year. That's just so we can get the environmental projects, little ones, kicked off and keep it moving. Jumping into funding, here's our current funding and estimate for the project. Kind of the total cost is about $92 million we're seeing right now. It's stayed pretty much the same since we moved from preliminary to 60% plans. We're going to update this again at 90% plans as we get closer to having real quantities and that sort of thing. One thing to note with this is this does include that project to the north, going from 19th Street up to 4, and it also includes design, right-of-way, construction, and construction administration. So this is an all-in cost. Sometimes when you see them, it's just the construction cost or that sort of thing. But this is kind of what we're looking at as a true cost for the whole project. Just from the engineer's estimate, you can see that it's about 2/3 MnDOT, 1/3 Olmsted County for the engineering costs. We have put together quite a funding package for this. Just got $60 million for the corridors of commerce, and then there's a whole bunch of, 5 other funding sources that work together with everyone to make sure we secured all that and kind of reduced what the county's individual cost is. We definitely appreciate everybody's help, the county board, local support, state legislator, and our federal legislator, helping secure some of these additional pots of money, and really appreciate the team effort it takes to fund one of these and keep it moving forward. So right now, I think looking like we're in really good shape, and as we're seeing prices, this might even come down a bit. I've got 2 pictures of mock-ups of what we're looking at for the interchange right now. These are from kind of like you're on Trunk Highway 14. This one is looking eastbound. That is the 44 bridge. That'll be, of course, 300 feet west of the existing alignment of the roadway. The aesthetics on the bridge, that's what we're looking pretty similar to that. It might be a little bit different, but kind of the same colors and some of the rock patterns. Some of the things to take note of are on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see the railroad there and just kind of how things are laid out. And then jumping to the other direction, this is westbound looking west. So before we would have been coming the other way, kind of under that bridge already, but here you can see kind of the magnitude of some of those off ramps that we will have just between the railroad and Trunk Highway 14. The bridge on the right-hand side, of course, the railroad's right behind there. That might open up a little bit more as we're moving through final design. But I think it's looking pretty good and pretty exciting to be making it this far and having things to actually look at. With that, I thank you guys for your time and stand for any questions.
Questions? Where are you moving the power lines? Because I don't see them in the drawings.
Mr. Chair, we are working with SEMPA to have them relocate them, but they're using a fairly similar plan to at West Circle Drive, where it kind of runs up the north side, and then we'll come back down and tie into the existing lines.
So it'll kind of follow our ramps up and down.
Yep.
Okay. Bob?
So when it comes to acquiring the land, are you confident that you're going to be able to negotiate with the rest of the owners? And if not, will eminent domain be used?
No, very good question. So through our right-of-way process that we have for every project we do, this one, there's just a few more little steps we add in there because it's a federal project. But what our process is, we have open houses, we share the design, we make initial contact with these property owners and kind of start the process there, get appraisals, make offers, and we set it up every time for every property owner the same way. I think we're gonna have a lot more that we settle with prior to our title and possession date, where that is where we would enter the eminent domain process. It's really hard to tell where we end up, whether it's one or two left. Usually we end up in really good shape once we make it to that time.
Okay, thank you.
What's going to happen to 60th Avenue on the south side of 14? Is that turned into a township road then? Existing 60th Avenue.
Mr. Chair, yes, the south side of Trunk Highway 14, it'll end up being cul-de-sac at Trunk Highway 14,
But then reverted back to the
then
township.
revert to the township. And right now, 60th Avenue, of course, it's on Cascade Township on the east side and Calmar Township on the west side. So we've been working with them and they know what's coming, so.
Okay. Good.
So can I just follow? So everything south going to the old Highway 14 and even further south, that's a township road?
The existing 60th Avenue, not the new road that we're going to build. Can you bring up that map?
Oh, the existing, okay, you're gonna keep the existing road, huh?
Yeah, it's going to serve the neighborhood.
All right, okay. That's fine, I got my question answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be great for that neighborhood. A lot less traffic than there was 3 years ago.
Yeah, we've definitely heard from the neighborhoods that and one of the reasons I think with their initial studies, we had it moving further away just with the current traffic and potential traffic. Right now, we'd impact them with construction if we weren't moving it over, but then also they're set back a little bit for the future too.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just, and this is just my preference, but if we were to have this is significant, this is $90 million worked on for 90 years almost, and but if we were going to have a groundbreaking, would it be in the fall or the spring?
I'm guessing we would have it in the springtime is when I'd anticipate doing that. Just right now, some of the property owners around there are moving dirt around, and we're going to cut some trees down and things like that. But I think the more significant would be in the springtime.
All right. Well, this is in my view, a time to celebrate. This is a monstrous project that's been working.
Big project, no doubt. All right. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Now we'll go to our board and committee reports or whatever else you'd like. I'll start out on this end then. Bob, would you like to? Okay. Brian? No report. Michelle? Oh, you guys are quiet today. Greg?
Well, the only thing is that we're waiting for the end of the legislative sessions to see how everything's going to impact us But other than that, I have no report.
Okay. Laurel?
Well, I'd like to report that Commissioner Tyne and I drank a lot of lemonade. Last Sunday, we were guest judges for a lemonade day tasting competition. This is the fourth annual Lemonade Day that is sponsored by the Rochester Area Chamber of Commerce. It was a very fun day where we got to ask kids about their lemonade recipe, their goals, their branding and display, and it's all to encourage entrepreneurship among our youth. And so the actual Lemonade Day is this Saturday, and so I just encourage everyone to go out on Saturday and support our youth who have lemonade stands around the community.
Great. You want to talk about
Next meeting, yeah.
Okay. Dave?
So Commissioners Rossman, Mueller, and myself yesterday were in Lake City for the District Association of Minnesota Counties meeting, and just I won't try to report on the details, but Commissioner Rossman gave a wonderful report on Olmsted County, as well as talked to the issue of the soil health initiative that we have regionally, and did, I guess I said, a fine job. I really thought it was a great meeting because we received almost up to the minute reports on what's happening in St. Paul, and a lot of other background information as well. So a day well spent.
That's great.
We also, by the way, Commissioner Mueller and I toured the, probably trespassing a little bit, we toured the the tire site out at in Viola, and got through it without a flat tire. So, but there are some solar panels out there that could use a little work vis-a-vis wind damage and things like that. That aesthetically and from the standpoint of optics could look better.
Great. All right. In light of the fact that we're about to embark on a road tour, today's quote is a paraphrasing of a conversation between Alice and the Cheshire Cat in the book Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you.